Hello guys and welcome back to the Motor Recon podcast. I'm your host Adam. I'm joined again today by Rob. What we're going to do today is look at a couple of cars that have caught our eye for various reasons and also compare them to a couple of others, as well as look at some of the bigger manufacturers in the world, or what we consider great manufacturers that have made some truly terrible cars over the years, or again, at least that what we think are terrible compared to some of the stuff that they've made in the past. Now, the first car we are going to look at is the Abarth 695 Biposto. Now, for those of you that don't know, I don't think they have them in America or anything like that, but what they're essentially, it is a Fiat 500 that's been a bit tuned up by their in-house company called Abarth, like AMG is to Mercedes or M is to BMW. Now, the reason we looked at this one is because it's £30,000.
Yeah, it's its 70th anniversary edition. But what we were wondering is, realistically, what are you getting for your money? Obviously, it gets quite a fancy body kit and all the rest of it, but essentially, 30 grand is an awful lot of money for a Fiat 500.
And is it worth more than double a normal a normal Abarth 500? In my eyes, probably not. But
no.
I think looks-wise, generally, I don't mind the look of it.
On
the whole,
I think if you are looking to make a big impression and you want something that obviously is going to stand out, I think it does achieve that. I think the trouble with this is, unfortunately, it doesn't really have the performance to back it up.
Not really, not for the money anyway.
That's the thing, for the money that you're paying, it doesn't really have that kind of performance to back you up.
No, because we're just looking at now. Don't get me wrong, it's not slow. I'm not criticising for this, but it's 143 miles an hour, which in a little tiny hot hatch is quick enough.
Sure.
0 to 62 in 5.9 seconds.
Which is rather fast.
Again, not slow, but is it 30 grand's worth of fast in that sort of era?
Well, as you say, it's got a 1.44 pot, which is obviously turbocharged, and it kicks out about 180 brake horsepower.
Yeah,
so obviously,
which isn't much.
No, not in the grand scheme of things.
Not for the size of the engine, anyway.
I personally couldn't see myself buying this, to be honest.
No, I wouldn't. I think the market for this type of car is perhaps someone who is obviously quite well off, because it is £30,000, and it's obviously, you couldn't really use it as a daily because it's got a completely stripped out interior. It's got the carbon fibre doors, which I suppose is what you are paying for.
I think this one, to be fair, I will say the 70th anniversary doesn't have an interior that is too unlivable. I mean, it is by no means at a standard of, say, the new Fiesta ST, which we're going to compare it to in a minute, but I think you could use it every day theoretically.
Yeah, it's got some creature comforts like climate control, sat nav. It does actually have a track feature, so when you're going around the track, it knows what track you want, which again is pretty cool. But the normal interior on a Fiat 500 are appalling anyway. They feel so unbelievably cheap.
But I mean, even on this special one, it looks cripplingly dirty.
Well, it looks exactly the same as the normal one, just with a few bits of, I don't know if it's real carbon fibre or plastic carbon fibre. I'm guessing might be plastic, but
I would hope for 30 grand you could
at least some.
You could get a little bit of the real stuff in there.
Yeah, but generally it does look pretty cheap.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And it doesn't look like a £30,000 car interior.
No.
But then again, I suppose the normal Abarth, which it's based on, is reasonably cheap. That starts at like 16, I think.
Yeah.
This just has a few more trinkets. I think it's 20 more horsepower as well, but is it worth 30 grand? In my mind, no.
No, so next we're going to look at the option which probably us two would end up... I think this is probably what we would end up spending our money on.
We have discussed it a lot, but again, then it is the benchmark hot hatch. Everyone compares hot hatches to a Fiesta ST in this sort of category. And for $26,795 in the UK at least, you can get an ST3, which is their top one, with every option specified.
And I think that's the difference between the Abarth 695, because 30 grand, although it does look like it comes spec with the options that you can get from Abarth, it's just nowhere near on the same level as it, unfortunately.
They are little rattle boxes inside. I've been in a few Fiat 500 Abarths, and they are quite rattly and a bit but the Fiesta's more of a car. It certainly, in my opinion, drives better, but...
Yeah, I think if I was to go for one, obviously, that the Abarth has the appeal of being obviously the 70th anniversary, so it's like a collectible. I would rather have spent my money on, say, the Fiesta ST Performance as a collectible.
Because I don't know how many of them 70th anniversaries they're making, it doesn't specify, or they have made, but I know the ST Performance Edition, there's 600 of them being made globally.
Yeah.
I think they are all in the UK, to be honest, but we are the main market for hot hatches. But yeah, there's only 600 of them, so again, that's pretty rare. its list price was £26,500, which is roughly the same as an ST3 kitted out anyway.
Yeah.
And it comes as standard with all the options ticked.
So I think that's a fairer comparison for this 595, to be honest.
Yeah.
But as far as performance is concerned, I'm assuming it's similar to the standard Fiesta.
Yeah, the only thing it's got different is it's got a reworked suspension system, which is manually adjustable. You get the tools to adjust your suspension system, which is cool. Pretty cool. And you get obviously the orange paint, like the RS Heritage. Which does again make it a bit more unique, and it just certainly stands out in the work car park, that's for sure.
Yep.
But again, what we're looking at, so it's 197 brake horsepower, so it's 17 up on the Abarth. It's 144 miles an hour, so it's 1 mile an hour faster, but it is a lot heavier because it's more of a car, which I suppose some would argue is a bad thing, but it's just as quick and handles well.
But it affects the 0 to 60 time.
Yeah, that's 6.3 against 5.9. So it's only 0.4 of a second.
Nevertheless.
One bad gear change, and that would soon obviously change. But
and I would say as well, one of the reasons you might also buy the 695 is you want a proper driving experience. It comes with a manual gearbox. It's 5-speed forward. You want that sort of almost old school driving
very
pleasure.
Raw, yeah.
I think the ST, despite all the technology that it gives you in creature comforts, that driving experience, it still gives you that.
Well,
it's a proper manual box still. Yeah. It's, Now,
I had the Mark 7.5 ST. Obviously, cracking to drive. I think you had to go in it as well. Yeah. Fantastic car to drive. I've now driven the Performance Edition of the Mark 8. It's a big leap forward. All the reviews about it and everything that were really complimentary of it, and they are real. Like, once you've had a go in it and you've driven it and you've heard it and felt it, wow, what a machine.
And did it feel like a genuinely, almost like a raw driver's car?
Yeah, because it's an extremely short shift gearbox, which is what you get in a lot of sort of racing cars or cars of this style. Very sort of, you can feel it like it's as if it's like a gated thing, but obviously it's covered in leather. It feels like they're good. You can proper chunk get it in, which I like. The steering's very heavy when you're going slow, and obviously it's still heavy when you're going fast because it's a proper system. But it makes it feel, you can understand and feel where the wheels are, and you can feel every bump and things like that, and really place it how you want it.
Sure.
I can't compare that to the 70th anniversary. I've not driven it, but.
Unfortunately, I have watched a few reviews of the 695 that are a little bit sort of critical of the way that it drives.
Yeah.
So it's a case of...
I've driven a normal one, not the 695 Biposto, and it was terrible. The driving position's horrific. It's like you're led down. Your feet are going like dead straight. There's no pivoting, which I don't like, but some obviously might do. And generally, I think the ST does look better. It's more of a car.
Yeah.
So we also thought off the back of that, like, before we go into the sort of great manufacturers making Gaffs, we thought we'd look at the new Audi A. I say new, it's been out for about a year and a bit now, hasn't it? But the newest generation of the Audi A1. Now, we've heavily criticised this car, especially in person, and we've seen it, for being way too expensive.
Yeah.
For not much, really.
I think this does, unfortunately, I think this comes down to almost brand snobbery in a lot of ways.
It is, it's the badge, because Audis aren't that reliable. I know a hell of a lot of people who have problems with them, and you can read it online. Again, every manufacturer has this, so I'm not going to be biased against them in that, but they're not as reliable as anyone else. They came near the bottom of the UK car reliability study. The build quality, granted, is quite good.
Yeah.
The interior is quite nice.
I will say as well, I think the infotainment system and the whole dashboard setup on the new A1, it's very, very good.
That's where it stands out on its own.
It's very, very good.
But I know this would be just for a person who wants a car, but if you're going to compare it and price it against these type of hot hatches, when the S1 comes out, and that's going to be priced well into the 30s, I can imagine, judging off the price of these.
Indeed.
If not 40 grand, like the old one was close to.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
Well, I mean, we've decided to go for sort of like an S-line competition. So base price for that is £25,000. But once we added a bit of optional equipment onto that, it came to £26,760.
So we did this intentionally to get it to the same price as the Fiesta with everything on it.
It's also worth mentioning as well, the technology and comfort packs have not been selected within this price.
No,
so
they haven't at all.
So I don't think you're getting all that money creature comfort comforts for this kind of price point either.
You're not. You do get the digital dash as standard on the A1, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that is quite cool.
But again, you might not get things like your sat navs and stuff built into it, or CarPlay or anything like that. I'm not sure, but
so the engine that you get in is a 2-litre petrol engine, turbocharged.
As well. Yeah.
Transmission is an S-tronic, so it's not a manual transmission.
No,
so
that
again,
wasn't an option on this engine.
Yeah, and it takes you out of the driving experience, but it only produces 200 brake horsepower.
Yeah, so it's the same as the ST from an engine that's much bigger and still turbocharged.
And I suspect a lot thirstier.
Oh,
I will have to see, but obviously, yeah, it's a question of, it's not, and obviously 0 to 62 is 6.5 seconds, so it's
roughly the same.
Roughly the same performance, really. But again, it's coming from a much larger engine.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that the S1 can do a lot more with this, but I'm also hoping that the price point doesn't get too ridiculous on the S1.
Which it will.
Exactly. I mean,
the A1, the actual base A1, the cheapest one you can buy was 18 something.
Sure.
And then for that, you literally got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing.
I'm not even sure that you get the centre console as standard, like the armrest thing. That
no, you don't. That is an optional extra.
Which seems pretty harsh to me.
Yeah, it is a bit daft. But
yeah.
Looks-wise, I generally don't mind it.
No, neither do I.
In this particular spec anyway, in the base spec it looks horrific, but in the two-tone, different coloured roof to different coloured body, and this we've specifically selected the better alloy wheels, so it looks a bit sportier.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it. I don't love it.
No, I don't love it either. But at the same token, it's certainly better than the new 1 Series.
Oh, 100%. A million times better. But again,
I'm going to give it that.
Yeah, the 1 Series is a Focus rival and a A3 rival. It's too big to be a small car rival.
But would my money be on this?
Absolutely not.
No.
They've done that silly thing which they've done on all the Audis. Even the R8's got it, which is that fake grille at the top of the grille, which is filled in. It's not even. It doesn't do anything.
Why? It's a styling cue, isn't it?
Why put it there if it has no function? Because I thought on it first, it's just filled in on the cheap models because it doesn't have a feature, and you'll get it on like the RS models or the S models.
Sure.
But they don't. They're still filled in.
So out of all of those, I'd probably end up, if I was going to go for something special, I probably wouldn't be going for the 695. I would be going for the ST Performance. Obviously, you can't get that anymore. But
you can still better buy them unregistered, but they were because what happened was, as you know, I put my name down for one.
Yeah.
I was told I couldn't have one because all the allocations had been given. But what happened is some of the dealerships had got them, so they could then try and get a bit of a premium on them.
Mm-hmm.
So the dealer had actually bought them and then tried to sell it on. So they haven't actually registered the car. It is brand new.
Yeah.
But they're still going for 26.5 new.
Blimey.
So
and I expect they will eventually begin appreciating. I don't know whether they'll get a drop off to begin with. But
I'm not sure. If you look at, I don't know if it's special enough to do that. Like if you look at a Focus RS Heritage Edition, only 50 of them.
Yeah.
Well, like weeks after they went on sale, one of them was up for 100 grand. That's for a 40 grand car. And so even now they're going for 60 odd grand. And a standard Focus RS, sort of blue or red edition, anything like that, they're still going for list price 2 years on with like 30,000 miles on.
I think it's quite rare, isn't it?
It is for a car of that type. It's obviously in the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and things that might happen, but in a car of this price.
Yeah, and you don't really see that with hot hatches, at least not until sort of later down the line where you might be looking at, say, the Golf, GTI Mark 1, for example.
Even they are expensive now.
But it's a good inclination if it's already appreciating or holding its value a couple of years down the line.
Yeah,
that's something to hang on to.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw the Mark II Focus RS, the one that I actually really liked, like the really aggressive body kit and stuff. A couple of months ago, it was delivery mileage. It had never been used. It still had the cellophane over the seats. Basically a brand new car, but obviously it's been locked in a warehouse for a few years.
Okay.
Probably not a good purchase if you actually want to drive it, because it's bad for cars being sat that long. But that was going for 45,000.
Blimey. And how much? I wonder how much that was brand new.
I think they were in the 20s.
Yeah.
Because it was a while ago.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but something like that. But again, it's definitely gone up in value.
Yeah.
Right, okay. We are going to look at now in the sort of the great car manufacturers, or what are considered great car manufacturers, making some real gaffs of cars, or horrendous cars in our opinion anyway. Mm-hmm. Now, the first one, I know we're not the only ones who share this opinion, but it's Ferrari and it's the California.
Yeah, I don't think we never liked the California.
I didn't. It's Again, these are purely subjective, but I think it's a very ugly car.
Yeah, I don't think this is one of Maranello's sort of great masterpieces. Obviously, it's the entry-level Ferrari. This is seen as the first way in. But if this is your first impression on what Ferrari can offer you, that's a pretty poor do, I think.
Now, Ferrari actually originally made this car. This is not me being sick. They originally made this car to sell more to women.
Okay.
That is what they actually said this car was for. But for anyone who actually knows a little bit of the back history, this car was originally meant to be a Maserati. Ferrari wasn't going to make this car at all. It was nothing to do with them. But because they're the same company, and I think Maserati had a bit of a problem, it then became the Ferrari California, which...
It would have done better as a Maserati, I feel.
Yeah, probably. And I think it would have looked a bit better. Because Ferrari have put their styling on it. And
well, clearly it wasn't meant to be a Ferrari from birth. And I think that's where a lot of the problem stems from.
Yeah, because they didn't spend the time developing
exactly.
it. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not a slow car by any stretch. 193 mile an hour V8 engine, decent enough stats in that sense. But
however, I would say take the entry level to McLaren, for example, the 570.
540.
Or 540, beg my pardon. The 540 is a much better introduction to what McLaren up the ranks of their cars can give you. If the California is your first experience of Ferrari, it's not impressive, I don't feel.
Oh, not at all.
Compared to what Ferrari can offer you further up the food chain, such as, back in the day, what was its contemporaries? Something like the F430,
I think it would have been,
maybe? Or is it
the F430 was definitely one around at the time.
Yeah. This was still running, obviously, because this ran all the way to 2017. So things like the
458.
Yeah, the 458.
Well in on that.
Well, there you go. There's an example, because the 458.
I think that was 2010 that came out, the 458.
Well, the 458 is a smashing car, and it is worlds ahead of the California.
It's appreciating in value.
Yeah. Whereas up the food chain, the 720S, as good as it is out of McLaren, you're getting some of that experience from a 540.
Oh, absolutely. Same engine.
But it's the carbon tub. It's the same sort of feel. This is nothing like a 458.
And again, it had a lot of problems. I don't know if anyone's ever listened to Harry Metcalf. He's a very big man on YouTube, and he also founded Known Devo magazine. Big man in the car world. When they went to review the California when it first came out, they started off with a red car, ended the shoot on a black car because they kept braking, the gearbox kept going to bits. This could have been because it's Maserati developing it, not Ferrari. But I know Ferrari back then did have a lot of reliability problems as well. So probably not the best bet if you did want a Ferrari, but should you want one, they are extremely cheap for a Ferrari. They're not
still
cheap.
Expensive, yeah.
Yeah, with the cheapest we could find was £59,500. Again, this is UK prices. It probably does vary across the world.
Sure.
But this is a 50,000 mile car, which is quite a lot on a supercar, if you call it
As
that.
you say, it's 19,707 over the average for a car of this. A Ferrari Cali of this age, so it is considerably more. As
specs go for a California, it's not the worst spec I've ever seen. It's not red, which is important to me. I don't think Ferraris look good in red. That's just a personal opinion.
No, I agree. I actually prefer something like either grey, as we all like grey.
Yeah, but
dark blue, for example.
Yeah, dark blue is one of my particular favourites. And if you are going to go a bit mad because you're in a supercar and you want it to be a bit extravagant, yellow works really well on a Ferrari.
Yeah.
But this is a very nice sort of silvery blue. I don't know what the official name for it is, but
yeah, it's a tasteful spec.
Yeah, very tasteful spec. Black interior, big nice alloy wheels on it. But this is £59,500. So while it has come down considerably from what it was new, it's reasonably held its value. But that you're purely paying for the badge there.
Yes.
If that was a Maserati, if it was as it was intended to be, that'd probably be 15-20 grand.
Yeah, and obviously the next one we move on to has depreciated like a bomb. So this is the Bentley Continental from 2003 to 2011. So this is obviously the first iteration of this. Now, this is interesting because this is a car initially we hated.
Oh, beyond. It was awful. It looks horrible, the Gen 1.
But once it got its face spec on Gen 2 from 2011 onwards, things improved. Yeah. And then with the latest variant, things got very good very quickly.
Yeah, very, very quick. And a lot of people do like it.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of things to love about the Bentley. W12 engine.
Indeed.
Very, very, very good engine, if I say so myself. 6 litre. It did sound good. Produced a lot of torque, which is good for a car of this weight.
Sure.
Power-wise, it wasn't anything mega, but that's not the point of it in essence. It's more of a GT car.
So good four-wheel drive system, and obviously, I don't know whether they were relatively reliable or not, but
I don't think they had too many problems. I mean, they are owned by VW.
yeah.
So I don't think they had too many issues. But then again, I think the electronics might have been a bit.
Yeah.
I think that's where they did sort of fall down.
So we were able to find a Gen 1 Bentley Continental from 2004 with the 6-litre W12 engine for £14,995.
Yeah.
There
Now
were cheaper ones.
Yeah, I know that again. That's 2004. That's 16 years ago now. But that is cheap for a Bentley.
Things to note: the interior's held up in a lot of respects, actually.
Yeah, you could get in that now. Fair enough, maybe not the screen, but if the screen was updated, that could generally be a new car.
I will say though, the central sort of system in the middle here and the dial cluster does scream a little VW to me. It looks a bit Golf.
Well, they are.
That's what I mean. As in, I think they could have done a little bit more. Obviously, if you look at the latest Bentley Continental GT, they have gone to great pains to make it a very
unique.
It's a unique interior. It feels bespoke.
Yeah, if you're I think the screen and things comes from VW, but they've made it in a way so it flips around with all
the three-way.
Yeah, so you get it in that.
It's very bespoke.
It's the same screen in essence, but it is. Yeah, I'd say it's been put in there in such a way that it feels better.
Whereas on this 2004 example, everything just feels a little bit less cared for. As in, it doesn't feel like they'd gone to such great pains to make it feel like a luxury product.
No, I think
like these buttons on the side of the steering wheel, not great. The dashboard with the centre screen looks a bit stock, and obviously, even something as simple as the seatbelt sort of clips just feel a bit.
Yeah, they've just come straight off like a Phaeton in this case, wasn't it? Because you could get this engine in the VW Phaeton.
The W12?
Yeah, you could actually get it. I don't think it was as powerful, but you could get it, because that was the VW's equivalent to the A8, and you could also get the W12 in the A8, which you actually still can, I think. Or it might be a V12 now, but by the by. So yeah, 15 grand, give or take a fiver, for the cheapest Continental GT in the UK, which... I think you could get them cheaper if you really looked on other websites, but... I feel that this car's come on an extreme... And as you say, I think the facelifted version in 2011 took a huge step forward. Yeah, that's when I actually started to like the car.
That's when we actually started to come round, I feel.
Yeah. Ooh. Right, sorry, I was just nearly sick in my mouth at the next one. Right, so the next one, as you probably all know for regular listeners, we are a big fan of Jaguar.
Yeah,
we
like
talk
them.
about them a lot. We like most of their range. Having looked at what I can get through work on an XE, it's very tempting as a next car because you can get ridiculous corporate offers on them. But it's the Jaguar S-Type.
It's one of the most hideous vehicles ever made.
Oh, it's bad, isn't it?
Do you know why I feel this as well? Thankfully, Jaguar have learnt from this.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you look at the XF and the XC and even the XJ, they all look like thoroughly modern cars.
Yeah.
The S-Type was trying to hark back to Jaguars of yesteryear, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it was also... It's trying to appeal to a different audience, because I think they were trying to appeal to the American market, and in the nicest possible way. I think they thought that Americans had a view of British stereotype, and they tried to live up to that.
It feels like a British stereotype on wheels, and it doesn't do us any favours.
No, and it's not. It's nothing about it is sort of what you'd consider a British thing.
But it's awful, honestly. But the thing is, someone signed off on it. They were like, yes.
Yeah.
Great job, guys.
Yeah. Now, actually, to drive these cars, I knew they actually weren't that bad to drive. And the R version, particularly, was obviously probably the better option. But apparently, they were quite good. Very comfortable, very wallowy, and like you want that from a luxury car.
Oh, sure, don't get me wrong. If the drive was good, that's great. But I just don't. I think the styling was. Yeah. Granted, I'm glad they took a swing. But unfortunately, it feels like a big mess.
It was a swing and a miss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, a lot of things they could have done better. Like from the back, it's not even like there's not an angle of that car which I think, that looks all right.
No, sorry.
No, not at all. And even especially when they had the actual Jaguar jumping off the bonnet, like the old school Jaguar badge.
Yeah, the Leaper.
You could get that on. This is before the regulations changed, and you had to take all that stuff off. I think that made it look even more ridiculous.
Thankfully, though, the S-Type obviously was discontinued in 2007 and replaced by the XF, which was, I can't even explain how much of a step forwards that is.
Oh,
design-wise.
Mega
step forward.
Now, they actually had a lot of engines available on it, to be fair. They went from a V6 all the way up to a V8. Which
sure, and I might add, the V8 sounded great.
It did.
It did. It sounded brilliant.
Have you... Oh, my God. I've just noticed what they called the V8 petrol supercharged engine.
What? Eton?
Eton. The posh school in London.
Oh.
Which a lot of international students go to.
Yeah.
And the royal family. Why would you call it that? Right, anyway, but that's by the by. So we also had a look at, again, on Auto Trader, what sort of things what prices you could pick these up for, and they are ridiculously cheap if you want one.
It's not surprising.
No, so this is a 2005 one, 2.5 litre V6 Sport, in what I'd consider a tasteful spec, cream leather, silver exterior, the decent alloys on, which they are a bit scuffed.
As far as the S-Type goes, I think it looks alright, yeah.
Yeah. But this has done 162,000 miles, which is 77 above average.
Yeah.
Which is a lot. But it is £690.
Exactly.
£690.
It has a near full service history.
Yeah, 17
as well.
service stamps as well.
Yeah.
Which is more than the age of the car. So it's had more than one service every year.
Unfortunately, unlike the Bentley, I think the interior is looking very dated.
It's got a few similar features though.
Yeah, interestingly, yeah.
Now, I know you could get these with big screens in the middle. This one obviously didn't have that, but you've got the buttons on the side of the steering wheel, like the Bentley.
Yeah.
You've got the very similar shape centre dashboard, actually.
It is, yeah.
But again, they're both British in that sense.
But no, I feel like...
It's got heated rear seats.
But as you say, and I don't think necessarily it was a bad car as such. I just think styling-wise, they went for something that...
Didn't work.
The cars are meant to be going forwards, not backwards, if that makes sense.
And
I'm trying to describe it.
What was the car before the S-Type? Was it? It was it was the X something, wasn't it? An X?
I think it was the XJ still, you know.
Well, I think it was still the XJ.
Yeah, and that looked amazing.
Yeah, God, that car went for a long time, didn't it?
Yeah, a cracking car.
Oh, would it have it? No, because the XJ was still the XJ has always been a different car, hasn't it? Because there was an XJ out when this was out, weren't there?
All right.
Yeah, so it must have been a separate car.
I think either way, though, obviously the XF came in 2007 and helped to really push the branding, the styling forwards.
Yeah, massively, and it still looks good today.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is a sign of good styling.
Yeah.
Now the last one, oh God. So Lancia, very, 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 very well known in sort of car history for the Fulvia and the it was Alpha, wasn't it? The Delta Integrales and the O30.
I think Lancia is known for two things. Its tremendous rise to fame through WRC victories, being the most successful WRC manufacturer ever, I think.
Yeah. So that was the Delta Integrale and the O37.
The O37 and the Fulvia.
And the Stratos.
And the Stratos.
Actually,
stunning cars, but they are also remembered for their horrific collapse.
Yeah, now I don't even know if they are... they might still be going on content.
I believe they're still manufacturing, but just for Italy now.
Yeah, I don't think they do. They're certainly not for sale in the UK anymore, because I know they had some which was based on a Fiat platform that came to the UK, which again was abysmal. It was worse than the Fiat one, and that's saying something.
Yeah.
But oh God, the one we're going to look at right now is the Lancia Thesis. Silly name.
Interesting. Looks broadly similar to the S.
I mean, that's cruel on the S-Type, and now I'm saying something there.
No, I am being cruel on the S-Type because, as you said, but the grille isn't.
No, the grille's not.
The grille's not that far off.
But if you look at it from that angle, do you not think, for anyone who's not watching this on YouTube, I would definitely recommend you go and Google this car just so you can have a giggle. But the front end honestly looks like it's a frog with like a pinched look.
It's yeah. It had a huge run though from 2001 to 2009 and also came with a wide variety of engines, including Alfa Romeo's 3.2 litre V6.
Yeah, so that's something actually good. Because they're good at making engines, or Alfa, in what I'd consider a horrific car.
Yeah, it's just... I don't really... No.
But why would you have... Again, this is not... But if you were interested in cars in any way, you wouldn't walk into a dealership and buy that. I'm going to guess it doesn't drive very well. It looks absolutely hideous. So why would you need a 3.2 litre V6 engine in that?
Yeah. Yeah, as you say, unfortunately, other than the engine, I don't think there's that many redeeming features about the Thesis. And it's a real shame to see how Lancia have slipped from...
Fall from grace, yeah.
Well, the thing is, though, obviously they were never known for reliability or things like that, or potentially sensible styling or whatever. However, I would still like them to be around.
Well, the thing is, though, some of their cars, even if they weren't the best sort of like handling or they might be good at that because that's what they were good at.
That's what I mean.
But even if they weren't the most reliable things, they could remake the Delta Integrale. They could not necessarily call it the Delta Integrale, but a hot hatch is very much in demand across Europe.
Send it out rallying.
Yeah.
Obviously, do what Lancia used to do best.
Yeah, and you could, in theory, if you were a bit strapped for cash, which I'm guessing they were or still are, they could put it on maybe like an Alpha sort of chassis.
Sure.
And sort of develop, and they obviously Alpha share engines. You could give it the engine of that and something like that, and just do a bit like that. And they could also do maybe not a Stratos again. Regulation might not allow that.
Yeah.
But they can do something good. Why do they need to make that?
Yeah, and obviously now they're just sort of reduced to making cars at best just for Italy. It's a question of, is it time to just remove the brand entirely and let it be consigned to the pages of history?
Yeah, which is, or give it to someone who actually will do something with it.
Or as you say, or sell it off to a third party, someone who might actually try and bring them back to the wider market, which is an option, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, on the back of that and that hideous, slightly sad ending about Lancia, I think that is a good place to wrap this up. As always, obviously, you can let us know in the comments below or any on the social media links in the description. Any topics you want us to discuss, we will do that for you. If not, we will see you next week.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. Bye-bye.